because of that, I learned to distinguish between, all right, I'm gonna take this bit, I'm gonna take this bit, I'm gonna rock with that. I like that. All right, that's cool. That hold on, that's messy. You know what I mean? Like being able to distinguish between the different things that you hear.
I've been going through some things, so much on my brain.
All right, man, it look like we back with another episode, back here up in this thing, you hear me? Hey, we jumping right into it. Y'all already know I'm gonna give y'all a little quick temperature check with your boy Ayo. So look, man, last week was the not first episode back, but last week was the first episode I feel like me kind of like being in my bag a little bit, just kind of like flowing, not really too much trying to prep as far as us getting back into it. And it felt a whole lot better. Hopefully y'all can let me know as the viewers, listeners, or whatever, how it came across to you. And I'm hoping it's just coming across real good. I'm trying to connect to y'all a little bit better, trying to grow. I hope y'all can grow with me as I'm growing in this process. So last week episode definitely for me felt a whole lot better. Hopefully the information I talked about with negative comparisons was something that people was able to find helpful. Folks who actually watched it, tuned in. And if you watch it in the future, hopefully it can kind of really have some good information in there. And if there's anything I said in there that in the future you can change my mind on, I just grow and change my own mind, I'd definitely be willing to provide new updates and new insight into it. And just kind of let you know, like, I never feel like I can't be corrected. So just always know that when it comes to me talking about any subject. So yeah, man, it's really feeling good going into the podcast. Like I told y'all, last week I did some volunteering. So last Saturday I went and volunteered. I was the time before that I was late, but this time I was actually on time to volunteering. So yeah, you hear me? I'm feeling good about that. And it was a good little session. Like I said, I volunteered at Houston Food Bank. And y'all already know, man, if you want to volunteer with me, I will be doing this at least once every month, potentially doing it more. But my goal for 2024 is to volunteer at least once every month. So for the rest of this year, I'm definitely going to be going to the Houston Food Bank to volunteer and get a little work in. It's like a 4-hour session. I usually do the 8 a.m. to noon, so 8 to 12. So just know you're going to end up pretty early if you're coming through with me. But sometimes, like, if you slide in late, if it's just individual sign up volunteering, if you late, they'll still let you pull up. But you do have to sign up because it's Houston, so pretty big market. A lot of times they might have too many people volunteering. So if you last minute, like on a Friday, you probably not going to be able to get a spot. But I'm going to be sure to let y'all know in advance anytime when I'm a volunteer. I don't know what day yet in July I'm a volunteer for, but usually it's going to be a Saturday. So yeah, that was pretty good. Something I do want to talk about is, man, I need to use my passport. I got my passport. Look, I only just got my passport last year, but I want to go somewhere. I want to travel. I haven't traveled like I want to in life, but my goal really is to like do a lot more traveling. I've kind of a little bit recently been doing a little bit more traveling than I had been before, but I want to do more traveling. Like, I haven't been on a lot of flights in my life. Like I said, I'm from a southern area, small city, Louisiana. You hear me? So I ain't really moved around a lot. I've been staying in Houston for a minute, but it's been mostly road travel and stuff like that. So I want to like get out the country, get some stamps on that passport. I got my passport last year because I was like, all right, if folks was talking to me like, hey, I'm getting a passport. Killer was talking to me about it. And she was like, hey, I'm getting my passport. I'm signing up for it. I was like, I bet. Sign me up too. I'm going to get my passport running or whatever. So I got my passport. She got her joint. Both of us still ain't got no stamps on it. But so I finally got that passport. I ain't gonna lie, I like the little ID card or whatever, like the little card. It looked better than like I ain't from Texas, so I don't really care about a Texas driver's license like that. But yeah, so I really like the card or whatever that come with it. I don't know what it's used for, but I like it. But yeah, so I want to get some stamps, want to travel. I got some, it can be small. Like, I'm good. I don't know Puerto Rico places like that don't count for a passport. But however far I got to go to get a stamp on them, I'm trying to get a stamp this year before the year end. I got partners, so I'm trying to get to fucking travel with me. One of y'all asses don't want to get a damn passport, acting like you don't want to go nowhere. Talking about I ain't seen America, which is true. You know what I mean? I'm in the same boat. I ain't seen enough of America, but I want to travel. I want to get out the country. Want to see more places. You know what I mean? I want to Aladdin jazz myself. It's a brand new world. I feel like they broke a little bit as I was going. I was like, I'm going to finish this note. And get right. Clear my throat a little bit. You feel me? All right. All right. Water got me feeling right now. Yeah, throat full of hook. I don't even want to talk about my throat. But yeah, feel a little bit better. So yeah, man. I really want to do something with that. And with my passport, like one part that I kind of be feeling like not shady, but I kind of feel away is like when I think about, man, there's kids in this world who didn't like travel, kids who didn't like went all kind of places. And my grown ass ain't never went nowhere. But at the same time, that's kind of a negative comparison. So I guess I got to jump out of that. And just bullshit. I ain't really too tripping on. I ain't jealous of kids out here because they done seen the country. They done been to Greece and they done been to Italy and Rome and UK and Brazil. You know what I mean? Antarctica, Antigua, all kind of shit like that. But yeah, definitely want to get some traveling going on. But all right, let me stop bullshitting enough, man. Let me go ahead and introduce y'all. I already know we got a little quick temperature check, but after the temperature check, we check in. That means we back into the StoryHouse podcast. Y'all already know how I run it, man. We just doing our thing. Y'all family, you in here, you in the house. Kick off your shoes, get comfortable. Don't go on my refrigerator though, because you ain't paid for nothing in there. But it's family, it's love. Y'all already know how we rocking. So we jumping right into it with today's topic. And for today's topic, we talking about, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. This topic, this week, I was a little bit behind. In this episode, if you're watching it, you know I'm putting it out late. But I was behind on getting to it. So this topic I had to like put it together. I spent buku time putting this together. And I feel like it might wind up being like a part 1, part 2. Just on like some of the different points I want to hit on it. But we're gonna see what we do on this episode. But the topic for today is the vessel of information. And when I say vessel of information, I'm talking about who you're receiving information from, like who you're actually talking to, like who's the person you're listening to. And the fact that who you receive the information from sometimes can determine how you receive the information. Sometimes we can feel like I'm going to listen to and take in information. If you say facts, I'm just going to listen to facts. But sometimes it can be who you're actually receiving it from. Like that person can be a difference between if you take it in good or bad, just based on what your perception of that person may be, or just based on what your perception of that person may be is going to determine how you receive information, or just the way you operate in general. But the person can be a big factor on how you receive information. So we're going to dive into that part. Like I said, vessel of information, that's the topic for today. And, oftentimes I feel like we don't realize the fact that that does play a factor into how we receive information. And as I said, something we can talk about, it can be the relationship we have to the person, and that can be like family, friends, or lack of relationship, like with strangers, whether celebrities or somebody who has perceived credentials, like a professional author or whatever it may be, like somebody who we like, oh, do I think you know something or I don't know something? Like even as a stranger, you can have a perceived already assumption on how well I'm gonna take information from somebody. So I really want to dive into that, like how we receive information from the different vessels. Now, personally, for me, I feel like the goal is to be able to be open to receive information from anybody. I feel like you want to be open to receive information from anybody. Now, in no way does that mean anybody who say anything, you take whatever they say as law, and you like, oh, somebody else said it, so I'll run with it. You know what I mean? You don't want to move goofy. You don't want to just be like, oh, anybody say anything, I believe it. You know what I mean? Sometimes like you can have like a tabloid or whatever. Tabloid feel like an old word. I don't know if that's a new word in like the in the new century. Tabloids feel like opening the newsletter or whatever, the newsletter, the People's Magazine or something like that, reading the little joints. But yeah, so it's like you don't want to just take in anything somebody say as law. You want to do your due diligence based upon what they say, and if the things they say even kind of align for you. But you do want to be open to listening to new people to possibly understand that regardless of how you know that person, they may be able to give you some information that can really be helpful to you. So like I said, I'm gonna break down a little bit of different topics on how the vessel of information, the person that you're speaking to, can affect how you actually receive the information. And shit, with it, I'm just gonna start with me. Like right now, you watching, you listening, however you tuning in to this podcast, and you kind of determine. I mean, if you watching and listen to it, obviously you probably fucking with me, so you actually listening in and taking in the information I have. But if you don't know me, you watch a clip or something like that, you can easily be like, I don't know, he might not fit into the profile of somebody I want to listen to, so I don't give a fuck what he talking about. Like just instant tune out based upon your opinion of me. And like honestly with that, like I respect it, I get it. It's whatever you gotta do. People gotta do what they gotta do. But at that point, I want you to be able to take in the information I say based on the information I say, not based on me. So you can either choose to receive it or to pass over it, but I want you to be open to it just because you feel like, oh, I'm saying good information. And like I said, people can judge me. So shit, just talking about myself, like where I'm from is a huge factor into like the information you're receiving from me. I'm from America to start with, you know what I mean? Just in case anybody outside the U.S. listening or tuning in. Southern America, Louisiana, Northeast Louisiana, small city. So I ain't even from like the major city, New Orleans, and like they BR, Baton Rouge or whatever. I'm from one of our smaller cities. We do our things, you know, do our little something, but Bastrop is a small city, so that affects how I talk, how I present myself, how I move. And so that just is like instantly right there, that's going to be a barrier within communication. If someone hears me talking, it's like, oh, he got a little southern twang, I don't like how he's talking. He's using certain words that don't really connect to me, things like that. So it's not what I'm saying, it's just your perception already of who I am is going to determine how you're receiving and taking in the information I'm having. Or shit, not even the way I'm saying and how I'm talking. It can be my look. Like you can be like, oh shit, he got them buckets on. Why you looking stupid in that bucket hat? Oh, he cool and I don't really like how the set look. I don't really fuck with whatever it is. It ain't professional enough for me. He ain't doing enough. Like all those different things can just be a factor of how you taking the information. Or shit, just even looking at me, like beyond the fact of like my fit or whatever I'm wearing, you might be like, oh, he ain't professional enough. But shit, what it is, I don't like his locks. His locks all long. I don't like how he looking. I don't like shit. I don't like his black skin. I don't like whatever it could be. I don't like that he's 6'6" and sexy out here. You feel me? It could be anything. So you just gotta understand it's a lot of things that's gonna factor into how you're already judging the vessel and if you're gonna be open to receiving information from it. So with that, let's go ahead and try to move on. Now, like I said, this is one me kind of like running it, getting together. I'm trying to run this shit to y'all, so just bear with me on a lot of these topics, but hopefully I can give y'all some real good information on this. So like I said, how information is presented as well is a big thing. Like we're talking about the vessels of the information, but how it's presented can be a big thing. And like different people present information differently, like kind of like how I was talking about like my tone or like not my tone, but like the word choice I use based on where I'm from. And like I told you before, I want you to try to focus on what's said a lot more than how it's delivered, because things like tone or whatever it can be can also be a factor into how you receive information. And honestly, how information is delivered is probably going to be a topic that I talk about at a later point in time. But right now I want to just focus in on the vessel that we're receiving information from. But I do want to like definitely say for some people who feel like, oh, I can say whatever I want to say as long as I said the information, I can present it however the fuck I want to. And that sometimes people will give information rude as shit, but feel like, oh, but I told it to you, so I'm just being real and talking to you. Sometimes it's like, nah, don't nobody want to receive this asshole-ish information, even though the information might be valid, what you're talking about, you delivering like an asshole, and I don't really want to rock with what you're talking about. And just understanding rude information is going to be a factor on if people even able to receive your information. That doesn't make someone wrong just because you delivered something like an asshole and they didn't want to hear anything you had to say. If you actually goaling to have somebody receive it and understand it, focus on talking about it the right way, or just a way that connects with that person. Like I said, that's another topic for another day. We ain't gonna dive into it too heavy. So first things first, when it comes to the vessel that you receive information from, are the factors, like I told you, relationships. So the easiest part with relationships, we're gonna start with family. Family is one of the first people, that's the first group of relationships you have within life, the longest that you have. You know what I mean? Those are people that you know forever. They determine how you receive information from the starters, from them, the family members, but also to the people who extend out beyond that. And so we're going to start with like your parents. Your parents are the people who raise you. They determine how you receive and take in information. So if a parent is telling you like, oh, you talk this certain kind of way or you move this certain kind of way, that's going to determine how you receive information from different vessels, different people. I feel like, I don't know if vessels, like, I feel like a weird word to me using, but fuck it, I'm sticking with it, my bad. Sometimes I be like having my little intrusive thoughts or whatever just be coming through, and like I be chilling or whatever, and then it's like, damn, I have a thought, and now I want to say it, but I'm like, I don't want to fuck y'all up, I don't want to fuck up my point because I'm over here getting caught up in my intrusive thoughts and shit. So I digress. Yeah, so like just the fact of how your parents can affect how you have that relationship is the beginning part of how you receive information from people. And parents are going to fall into what I would call a living relationship. And those are just basically people who you live in with, and you have like basically relationships you have, close relationships that you have with people, but that you live in with, like that close proximity, like the level of access you have to those people is very high compared to like somebody else who's just out about in the world. So those are live-in relationships. And like for me personally, like I grew up in a single parent household. I know there's some people out there who might have grew up with two parents. I heard that that's a thing that folks is out there doing, having two parents and shit. You feel me? But yeah, I only grew up in a single parent household. So I'm gonna say parents a lot, but I'm talking about, so some of y'all people who like me, it's parent. And shit, some people who might have had parents and they got separated and they went and got remarried or something like that. Now you got step parents. You got a few parents. You got 3-4 parents out here. You hear me? So folks have a whole lot of different situations, but we talking about parents. Like I say, they raise us, they give us our principles, and they determine how we view other people and how we take in information. And depending upon your relationship with your parents, that person can be either the first or the last person that you go to have a conversation and take information from. Like, do I want to go to my parents for advice? Like, some people can have a relationship with their parents and like, well, oh, that's the first person. My parents tell me something, I know they're going to give me law. They know they're going to give me facts. They're going to lead me down the right way. But sometimes your parent may have set a bad example for you and you're like, nah, that ain't the person I want to be like at all. So right there, instantly, that relationship is already determining, all right, this is how I view somebody, and this is my parent. And if anybody aligns with this parent figure, if you giving information like my parent, you out of there. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say because you seem similar to my parent. You feel me? That's why I say like parents are a lot of times the first people who have an effect on us and how we view and take information from other people. And the thing is with that, like I was saying before, like you can have a different view on your parent, like heroes versus villains. Like that one side of it is that the hero mentality for your parents. So you got a parent and you like, oh, they can do no wrong. Anything my parents say, they always coming through saving it. But the other side, like what I was just saying, your parent can be a villain and it's like anything they say is wrong. And the goal, I feel like, should be to kind of find a happy medium somewhere in between them to where you can take information from your parent. You don't got to take it as law, especially when you're grown. Like when you're a kid, obviously you don't know any better. You have a limit on your reach. Like, I mean, hopefully for this podcast, I mean, I talk how I talk, but I mean, if you're a teenager or something like that and you like peeping information, I'm talking about, hey, that's love and I hope you rocking with it and fucking what I'm talking about. But if you're grown, then it's a whole lot more information for you because you hopefully got the frontal lobe and mental development to where you can really take in all the information that I'm talking about. And that's the cipher between my dialect and my way of speaking to find the nuggets of positive information that I'm trying to put on y'all. So yeah, it's just like the parents are just the biggest factors when talking about things. And even with the case of like receiving information, you might feel, for the people who feel like, oh, I can talk to my parents about everything, but it's like, romance. I might have a parent where I can talk to them about romantic relationships, but then you hit that kind of point of, well, oh, but not about sex though. And that is a point I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. That's more of a conversation I feel like might land a little bit in that friend group a little bit more with sex, but we'll get on to that. And our parents help us set our boundaries on what we will and won't accept as far as like communication with other people. So it's like if someone's showing us a certain thing, like, oh, this vessel is disrespectful to me on the boundary level, your parents can kind of help you to develop and set those things. And going beyond your parents, you have like other adults who are like similar to your parents, whether it's grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends of your parents, just people who kind of fall within that age range of above you and adults in your life, but they aren't your parent, you know what I mean? But they're still close enough to where it's like it's a close relationship, not just some stranger who's an adult out and about in the city or whatever. And I feel like for me, I use those as more visiting relationships because it's still a close relationship that you can have with those people, but it's not the live-in relationship that you have every day of seeing your parents like that. And those people kind of can fall within those similar things with our parents. And so the way that we grow and learn how to bond and communicate with those people is going to be based on a lot of times how we might have communicated with our parents. So it's just the fact your relationships, how you view people and listen to people is going to grow out based on relationships you already have. So easy, like right there, aunts, uncles, but it's based on what you already have with your parents growing out to how to receive information from people. Getting back to your living relationships, you have your siblings. Those are people who kind of in the same situation as you. So it's a whole lot easier to be like, all right, we kind of talk about something. I can kind of run it with you. You my sibling, you in the same house, you know what I mean? You know what I'm going through. You know when mom, dad getting on the fucking nerves, you know what I mean? We can have this conversation. We have similarities going on. But sometimes when I say same situation, I understand there are people who may have different situations. So you might have siblings who you don't live with. Like for me, my family, I got sister, brother. I have no clue what's going on father's side. But my sister and brother grew up in the same household. For me, different parents, but it's just like, now my sister and brother, like I never even use words like half sister, half brother. That shit don't even make sense to me because we in the same household. But I understand there's people who aren't in the same household as their siblings. So that can be a factor. Or some people who you might be in the same household is like, oh no, our situation is not the same because my siblings get treated way different than me. I've spoken to people about that as well. And like I say, it's respect to those things. For this point, the points I'm gonna make at least right here on this one, like I say, maybe on the part 2 or something like that, I can follow up. But I'm gonna be talking about like siblings from the aspect of people who live in with their siblings. But as you take in information, just apply it as needed. Like whatever you take in, like apply it to whatever your situation may be, even if it's not the exact same thing as what I'm saying. And so with our siblings, you can have like your older siblings. Those are the people who, obviously, like I say, same situation, but it's easy to take in information from your older siblings. Like, all right, bet you've been in this house, you've already been running with them, mom and dad. You know how to take information from mom and dad. I bet we got a connection. I'm already knowing how to receive information. You running game with me. So if you tell me something, I'm like, all right, for sure. You should know because you in the same shit with me. You know what I mean? You know what to tell me. So that can be how it is with an older sibling. But on the flip side, you got your younger siblings. Like if you were a middle child or something, you can have an older and younger sibling. But with your younger siblings, it's they're still a peer, but they may seem to be less knowledgeable within the same situations as you. Like, man, I've been in this house already. I already know how game run with our parents. But sometimes you see how you might have a little sibling who will be finessing the parent when the older child like, yo, what the fuck? That shit wasn't working. And that's just kind of how their younger siblings sometimes might have peeped some knowledge. It could be favoritism sometimes, but they might have peeped something that you ain't peeped. So just understand it. Even though they might be young and you can instantly perceive them as having less knowledge and, I can't learn anything from them. That's a real quick example for me of how, you can still take information from somebody else, even if you're perceiving them to be less knowledgeable than yourself, because they may have a nugget that you don't have. You might have all this other information, but if they have that one nugget to help you be open to take in that information. And building on the siblings aspect, we have like cousins and friends, which to me are like, it kind of feel the same way, like siblings. Cousins and friends are the siblings, like how I said other adults are the parents. It's like they're that visiting relationship, like they're close, but they're not living in the house, so you ain't going through the same thing I'm seeing every day. But it's saying kind of like build upon it, just like how your relationship you have with your parents is going to build on the relationship you have with other adults. The relationship you have with your siblings sometimes can build on how you have a relationship with cousins, friends, and other people who closely like that. And shit, sometimes your cousins can be your best friends. Like, I don't know, like my best, closest friends like that, those ain't like my cousins or something, but like, you know what I mean? Me and my cousins, we run it, we chop it up all the time. But shit, if you have like cousins who are like the exact same age as you, because I mean, you got siblings, your parents can only have so many kids at a time unless they have twins or triplets. Y'all gotta have a little space in between y'all. So it can really be, it can really just kind of separate a little bit. But with a sibling or friends, friends, a lot of times it's people you go to school with, and you can kind of connect to them a whole lot easier. Y'all you're the same age as me. But a thing with a cousin or even with a friend or cousin friend, whatever they may be, something that they have that you don't have with a sibling is they outside of your household. Like the same age is definitely a huge point and allows you to kind of connect on similar things, but being outside of my household. That allows me to take in the information you give me. Like, if you say something to me and you're a peer of mine, because I'm already viewing you in a certain kind of similar way because we're peers, you can tell me about your household or, how shit going on over there, and then kind of help shape my world and take in information on what's going on outside of me. Like, okay, my friends running with some shit. They doing that at their house? Like, my auntie letting that go on over there? Or, my friend over there doing this shit? Damn, and it help you kind of get a viewpoint of how your own household is. And with that point, kind of like circling back to last week with negative comparisons, make sure that you just take in the information and like not like appreciating or depreciating, like changing your viewpoint of one. You definitely want to appreciate your household, but like not depreciating your view of your house. Like, they getting to run in and do all that shit over there, but we don't get to do that at our house. And it's like yeah, that may be true, but understand there's different scenarios and there's a lot of things that can factor into it. Obviously, with children or something, you can't really take in information. But the point I'm trying to drive here is just understanding the relationships, because those youthful relationships that we have at one point in time grow into our adult relationships that we have right now, and it still has an effect on how we communicate. And those are the points I'll touch into a little bit later on. And what was I saying with that? Like, with the similar and with the same age point is that talking to somebody the same age, you can really have speaking among peers, how you receive information from them is just shit. If I'm talking to a peer, you can have a point that just connects to me because we in the same boat. Like, if I'm talking to somebody who my age, you didn't grow up in the same era, same society, you didn't viewed and went through the same things I'm going through. You at the same age point that I'm at. So, like, for me, if I talk to somebody about 9/11 and you my age, as long as you went to school that day, you might remember, like, oh yeah, them pulling out the TVs or whatever, doing similar type of things. Like, your experience that you had with 9/11 isn't gonna be like the experience if I talk to somebody who was 25 at the time. Like, I was in, I think, 4th, 5th grade, one of them things. And I remember, like, them wheeling out the TV in, like, every classroom that we went into. And if I speak to somebody else who around my age, they probably got similar memories of it. But if you're a different age, like, I have no clue, like, people who was working, like, I don't know what they did at jobs while that was happening. Like, I have no clue, but we can have a communication and we can have a clarity instantly when we talk about it, because if you my age, even if you're from a different area, as long as you're from America, you know 9/11 that went down and how things was going on that day. And just like and another one, I'll say this. Like, talking with friends or cousins, you know what I mean? You can run it with them about romantic shit, but also you can run it with them. The romance conversation can push to a point of sex because you're open to receive the information, potentially. It's based on the relationships you have. But, like, you might be a little bit more open to receive information about sex from a friend because it's more comfortable and casual than it is from talking to your parent, because your parents start talking to you about this shit. It's like, this is a little weird. But, like, your friends is somebody who's like, all right, bet, you going through some of the same things. We doing some of the same sex moves. They might have been doing some freaky shit in the 70s, and your parent trying to... I don't know what the age range is, but whatever. They might have been doing some freaky shit in the 70s or shit in the 90s if your parents was growing in the 90s. And they trying to tell you about some shit. It's like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to. We ain't doing that. But shit, these young folks might be out here talking about all kind of shit. Folks out here eating ass, eating everything. I mean, I ain't eating no ass. I say that as I ain't eating no ass. I know it's buku people my age out here just got face full of ass. I ain't eating no ass. That's a point I'd like throw out. Hey, look, baby. I don't care how I feel about you, how gorgeous you is. Ass ain't to be put on my plate. I'm sorry. I eat some things I eat, but I ain't eating no ass. Man, my bad. I'm getting distracted, y'all. I'm trying to stay on focus. Like I told you, man, this podcast is thrown together a little bit later than the other ones, but hopefully I'm still putting out some information. Hopefully, building on the prior things I was saying, visiting and living relationships, I kind of want to touch on those a little bit more, explaining them. And basically, like to me, a living relationship is somebody who's actually in the house with you. You experience those people on the regular all day. Like, you wake up, sleep, they there. Your visiting relationships are people you have to go out to see. But within both situations, there are people who are close to you, folks who you regularly interact with. Like, you have cousins, you regularly might see them. They might not live in the same house as you, but shit, sometimes they might sleep over there. You might sleep over your grandparents' house, things like that. But your siblings and your parents, those folks you deal with on a regular. And the reason why those things are important is because when you grow and you build out relationships, the way you might have a relationship with your friends or new friends you have within life or new coworkers that you have in life is going to be based a little bit based on those visiting relationships, how you develop, how you deal with visiting relationships, how do you deal with people who you don't live with, but you see on a regular and you interact with on a regular, so y'all having a close relationship. Or even with your family and those visiting relationships with your parents and your siblings, at a point in time, hopefully the goal is to grow to getting or depending upon what your beliefs are relationship-wise, you might have a romantic partner, y'all living together, or you having kids. How have you learned to deal with someone that you live with and communicate with? And the reason I say that is because I know people who, the way that you communicate with someone who's in that living space and that closeness is going to be a whole lot different than the way you deal with somebody who's outside of it. Because when you're dealing with your cousins, you can kind of be like, shit, what's up? You know what I mean? Hollering and shit, chopping up with your cousin. But your sibling who been at the house and they might be just as cool, or they might be cooler than your cousin on the real, but because you deal with them all the time, they always be doing that little shit that get on your motherfucking nerves, and it's like, oh, this motherfucker knowing me. And I feel like that's the reason why, to me, sometimes when you think about like college, when people talk about it, like, oh shit, you don't want to live with your friends. Like you got high school friends, don't live with your high school friends in college. Because at that point, those people are now going from being a visiting relationship to being a living relationship. So you cool and you fuck with how they are as far as like, oh shit, we chop it up, end of the night, doses. You feel me? But then when you transition to how you deal with them living, it's like, I don't like dealing with you all the time. I fuck with you in bits, and it can be big little chunks, but living in my house, nah, our living arrangements don't align. This ain't really matching up. So just understanding like the way that those relationships build in is gonna build up how you deal with other people. And when y'all have a communication with those people, how you communicate with your spouse may be based on how you learn to communicate with your parents. How you communicate with your coworkers may be based on how you learn to communicate with your cousins. So like I said, still trying to tie into the fact that this is about how you receive information from vessels and just understanding the different relationships that we have within life. Let me see. All right, so what we got now? All right, so we got the family, friends, coworkers, employers, all those different things, group-wise. So going on to people who are a little bit less close relationships, we're gonna go to strangers. And with strangers, they still are oftentimes gonna be kind of based on those other relationships we have. Because like with a stranger, you don't they're a stranger. You don't know them, you don't know shit about them. All you can do is chop it up with a stranger or take information from a stranger based on the information and knowledge that you already have. So who have I already talked to that seemed like this person, or how have I learned to communicate with people, or how open have I learned to be with somebody I don't know or who doesn't seem like somebody I know? Because I know like that's when you deal with somebody who's like, I'm from a small city that basically just had black and white people. You come out to a space like, oh, you have Koreans, you got Chinese people, you have El Salvadorian people, you have Mexican people, you have Puerto Rican people, you have, you know what I mean, coming out to a major city, you'll get exposed to a lot more things. So it's like, oh, this the way they talk, the way they communicate may be a little bit different. So how open are you to now receiving new information from people who don't look or even remind you of things that you've seen before? So that's why it's important to like not overly, really not to judge it in general, anyone that you don't know or anyone that you do know. Like you ain't God, you don't need to be judging anybody. But just being open to taking in information. Like with myself, shit, depending upon the environment I'm in, you gonna get a different kind of AO. Like if I'm in a little spot where I don't really know folks, I'm just vibing, like, all right, I'm playing it cool. Like I'm real quiet and chill. Like just, you know what I mean? I'm in the cut, I ain't doing too much. If I'm with my people and we acting, stupid. I'm loud, I'm acting out, boisterous or whatever. And if somebody doesn't know me, they view me as a stranger, depending upon what environment you see me in, can already determine how you gonna take information from me. If I just wind up chilling with both of those different groups and now I come over to talk to you, if you see me be quiet and chill, you might have a different viewpoint. It's like, all right, he quiet and chill. He might, I don't know, he don't seem like he got that much confidence. He too quiet. I don't know about him. Or you can view it as like, oh, he quiet and chill. So like, oh yeah, he just playing it cool. He's really direct. He's not doing too much. But at the same time, I can be loud and boisterous and you viewing it like, all right, so where he's trying to overcompensate by being loud and boisterous, or you can view it as, oh, he's loud and boisterous because he's so confident within himself, so he's gonna speak with knowing and knowledge because he's only doing things he know. You know what I mean? So it just the way you view somebody at that point in time, you've already made a judgment. But shit, regardless of how I came across, whether I'm loud or quiet, I can either say smart or stupid shit, and that's what's really important. Am I saying smart or stupid shit? Forget how loud or quiet I am. The way I go about it, try to focus in on what's actually being said. And that's just like a thing when you're dealing with strangers. You don't know what you're finna be dealing with. And like the circumstance that you meet somebody can really just change how you view something. Cause like even shit, easy viewpoint of like you talking to someone who may be homeless or what's the word? The without house or whatever the fucking phrase people be trying to say with it. But you talking to somebody in that situation is like, oh, this person they ain't in a good situation. You can't really tell me shit, but that person might not be the best person to talk to about how to keep a house, but they can give you information on how to be a good person. Like just because they might went about things in one part of their life that didn't actually add up and work out for them doesn't mean they're not still a good person in their relationships, and the way that they speak to people isn't still beautiful. So just understanding I mean, the circumstance somebody in doesn't determine like the value of that person or the validity or how, you know what I mean? Just how important the things that they have to say. They can still provide you with information. And expounding on the strangers topic, even though people can tend to feel like or assume that it's more than like, oh no, this isn't a stranger to me. I know them, celebrities. You know what I mean? With celebrities, you feel like you can get so much information from them or hear about everything involved with their life. Like you done heard everything, they kids, you know everything about them. You know facts about them that they be forgetting. But they still a stranger. You still don't know these people. But the thing is, celebrities, they fall into a different little category with those strangers because now you have a little cachet about, they have cachet about them that gives them an earned bit of attention from you to where even if they may not really be knowledgeable about something, you're going to listen to it or they're going to get like ears that they wouldn't have got otherwise. Sometimes they might get ignored. I mean, of course, because no person's perfect. It's always going to be somebody who's not listening to them or depending upon what you're famous for. Like, why are you a celebrity? Like, you might can give us advice, or you might just be entertaining. But even the people who are like famous for just like more or less being entertaining, shit, people still take information from them. Still listen to some of the wild shit they say because, oh, they famous. Everybody got attention on them. They must got something. No, they famous. I want to be famous. I'm going to listen to them. So at that point in time, that vessel of celebrity allows people to now listen to people and what they had to say. On the same token, somebody who could be famous, like, shit, I don't know a lot about Shawty, so I ain't even finna speak crazy on it because I don't really speak on people's names like that anyway. Unless it's like something positive. Like, I don't like throwing no shade or no shit like that. But like Kim K, like, you know what I mean? Like, Shawty, whatever shit, why Shawty got famous and whatever, all the other kind of shit. But, like, at a point in time, like, now she doing a whole lot more shit with her life. She got, like, the fucking Skims brand, which is, like, one of the top fucking women shapewear clothing and shit, whatever. You know what I mean? She can tell you some shit about running the brand right there. Before, that might not be why she initially got famous, but shit, that's some shit she can inform you about. Shawty be doing, like, law shit. You know what I mean? I know she can got, like, different people out of jail with different scenarios, whatever her programs may be. Again, I don't know all her shit, and I'm not finna pretend to. But it's just the fact that celebrity can kind of like her using her celebrity to do other things. And also I'm realizing I'm getting off the topic of the vessel that we receive information from. But just knowing like people can have different nuance within them. And like I said, with the celebrities, they have like those kind of credentials that they earn, but staying on credentials, you know what I mean? I was trying to like do a little segue, you feel me? Try to segue some shit. But speaking on credentials, you have like professionals. Professionals to me, they have, well, not gonna say to me, but professionals have like a built-in credibility whenever they're speaking about certain things within the topics that they actually work on. So even if you don't know if you don't know them, you speak to a professional without having any information. They're a stranger to you, but you're gonna be more willing to take in information from them because of those perceived credentials. And it's not, I don't say perceived to like say it's invalid them having those credentials, but it's just to say now the way we perceive and how we're taking in information from a new vessel is gonna change just based on those different nuances. And so like an example, like you know what I mean, in the medical field, you got somebody in the medical field giving you health or medical advice. Hey, shit, I bet I'm gonna listen to you. I ain't studied medicine. You probably know some shit I don't know. But like even with that, in that what their discipline is gonna be a fact on how you taking information. So like you talking to a dermatologist, but they trying to give you advice about your teeth. You like, yeah, you might have went to med school, but bitch, you don't know nothing about no teeth. At the same time, you talking to somebody who a chiropractor, and they're telling you about your spine. It's like, okay, what you say? Say that. Hold on, one more time. Let me write that down. What you said I might need to do so I can fix my spine issues. You know what I mean? So just like who the person is and what the credentials are within those professional fields, and it's, I mean, it can go beyond, because I do want to expound beyond just the medical field. So it can be like a plumber talking about pipes. You know what I mean? Mario type shit. You can have an auto technician, like somebody who work on cars. They telling you about how your vehicle engine, or you having some issues, like, oh, what that noise is, what that smoke coming out. You know what I mean? You gonna kind of take in the information because of the perceived of the profession, them being able to give you information. A farmer talking to you about crops or plants. You can have an astronomer telling you about stars and space. You know what I mean? So just really those that they already have a viewpoint that you'll receive information from them just based on their credentials. And sometimes even with that, like you can be in an adjacent field. So if I'm talking to like a farmer and they talking about crops and shit, but they say something to me about some trees, I might be a little bit more prone. Like, I mean, they ain't growing trees. You know what I mean? If you grow corn, you don't necessarily know how a tree grow, but I'm probably more likely to listen to you than somebody who I don't know why all I had was like criminal jobs came to my mind otherwise. So I'm not gonna say any of those. Then somebody who work at Circle K, I don't know. I can't think of shit else. But yeah, they might know more about growing trees. You'll be open to listen to information from someone in an adjacent field with a professional thing. Now, with everything I've been talking about, I do want to say my quote that I kind of want to stick to saying all the time with y'all. Anytime I'm talking about something, look, it's easier to say it than to do it, but sometimes you have to hear it said to know you can do it. And that's just speaking to the fact of opening your mind to take in information from more vessels, being open to listen to more people. Because, like, for me, myself, I know, like I said, I try to be open to listen to whoever the fuck I'm talking to. Like, I don't care who it is. If you running some information and you say some shit to me that line up, like, all right, bet, for sure. Because I know, like, one time, like, me knowing, like, you ain't finna just trick me. Like, you got to say some shit and you got to say it convincingly. You got to give me a story. I'm not just finna take anybody hearsay. I believe in the shit I believe in. You convince me otherwise, I'll be open to taking information. I'll hear you out. Because, like, I know, like, one time, I remember, like, back in school, like, meeting one of my partner of brothers or whatever, bro was like, man, you can talk to that nigga. That nigga ain't finna listen to you. He ain't finna listen to nobody because it's perceived that I don't take any information. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. I ain't really fixed the perception that I don't take any information, but I know, like, I listen to him. And I think, like, what his brother said, I don't even remember what the topic was. That's the part that just stood out for me. But it's just like, damn, that's wrong. That ain't how I actually listen to people. But it's like, hey, that's what the perception is. And shit, even to speaking to the fact, the perception that people have on you, excuse me, have on you as far as like how open you are to receive information. Because somebody might be less willing to give me information because they perceive that I'm not receptive to information. I'm not just gonna jump on my information, but if you give me some facts and it's agreeable to me, I'll see the light within what you're saying, and I can shift my views based on that because I want to be better. So if you say some shit that make me better, we making that move together. Let's hit the road. So yeah, just learning to separate the information from the person and widen our views and knowledge. All right, I'm gonna be like 40. All right, y'all. So shit, what else I got up on here? I ain't trying to talk y'all ears off too much with this one right here, this episode. But like kind of what I've been hitting on, like our relationships do serve as a major basis on how we grow out to have our relationships, have communication with other people. Like, so whether it's the family aspect or like your parents, siblings, cousins, like how I started with those, but just the fact that when you meet somebody that you don't know, your openness to receive information from them is going to be based on those things. Like I was saying before, like with the loud person or something, it's like, oh, you a loud personality. If I had somebody else in my family or I had somebody else I knew who was loud and they'd never listen, I ain't really I don't think you're going to listen to me. So I'm not going to really talk to you this kind of way. Or if you knew somebody else and like everybody who talked with like a lisp or something like that, everybody you know who talk with a lisp be lying. You hear somebody talk with a lisp, you hear that lisp, oh, you just lying. It's already, you know what I mean? Just the fact it can just alter how we take information in. Let me see here. Oh shit. Yeah, at one point I remember like I recently seen, I don't know, it's Instagram or TikTok, but I seen this woman pretty much like on like a real clip or whatever type shit. But she was pretty much just talking about the fact of how she had to learn with communicating with her husband, like listening, like just kind of shifting the way she listened to him because she wasn't listening for the information. She was listening for the attack. Like she perceived basically anyone she talked to, anytime she's talking to somebody, she assumed that somebody trying to attack her. So because of that, she was kind of operating from, all right, you trying to attack me, I'm just listening for the attack. Like, yeah, you talking, but where you finna attack me at? So at that point, you can't even, she wasn't able to receive the information as well because she was just listening for the attack. Now, thankfully for that woman, I don't know anything like that. It was just a clip. But the way it kind of was like ending was her saying, like, her learning to stop doing that so that she can have a better relationship with her husband to where, okay, I'm not listening for him to attack me. I'm listening to what he's saying. So it's like, okay, now I can take in things a little bit better. And like I said, that's just kind of understanding, like, how are we taking in the information? And that was like a really good point. Like I remember just hearing it's like, oh yeah, that was real dope. Real, like one growth fact for her to take in things like that. And I feel like there's a lot more people who are like that, who assume that people are attacking them. So like if somebody say something to you, even if it's like what would it be, like a criticism, but like I can't think of what the word would be, but like, you know what I mean, like a criticism to like help you get better, something like that, like harsh love or whatever type of shit, you know what I mean? If your only viewpoint is like, oh, you just attacking me, it's just like, oh, well, this could be a critique to kind of help me get better. But if you're viewing it as an attack, you're like, oh, well, let me attack you back, and now you're defensive and you're not able to take in the information. Yeah, let me not get too caught up on the shit that I got listed on here. One topic I got a few of them that I want to hit on before I bounce up out of here on y'all. Like sermons, because I want to get into like, this is an area I feel like really for me reflects on like being able to listen in and openness to taking information. Like, all right, so when I'm Christian, I believe in God. But like, look, you welcome to believe in whatever you want to. This podcast, this show, I'm hoping anybody, look, you ain't got to believe in God to tune in with me. That's how I'm going to speak from. But look, man, I'm trying to speak from the heart. Like, it don't matter what your beliefs are. Hopefully I'm giving good information that regardless of what walk of life, what beliefs, what kind of movements you go with, whether it's whatever, or you don't believe in anything, still just things that can help you be a better person. That's my goal. Like making us be better people, me learning to be a better person, y'all taking some things from me to be a better person, and me receiving things from y'all on feedback to be a better person as well, to have conversations. So with that, you can just take whatever I talk about religious wise, just flip it to whatever be in your religion. If you don't have any religion, just take it as me talking about something from any old book, giving you whatever. Just take it as a synopsis of a book when I talk about a pastor giving a sermon. But yeah, so for me, when I listen to a sermon, I didn't listen to buku pastors who I'm like, I don't agree with half of what they talking about. And it's just a whole lot of nonsense. It's on who I rock with and I tune in with. But especially like growing up, that's like something I experienced. Like, the church I went to, I wasn't too sure about what bro was talking about half the time. But for me, because of that, I learned to distinguish between, all right, I'm gonna take this bit, I'm gonna rock with that. I like that. All right, that's cool. That hold on, that's messy. You know what I mean? Like being able to distinguish between the different things that you hear, because I know a lot of people, they'll just change. I mean, sometimes if it's enough of it, definitely be willing to change churches. But it's like not being able to take a message from some people. Like if you invite me to your church, I can take something from your pastor, even if your pastor don't talk like how I would prefer, or overall messages that I agree with. I take what I can from that pastor. And I feel like that's an important part, like being open to information. Like even if the person is rubbing me wrong in some ways, I can still take in the important parts or the bits that actually have some use to me. Because I mean, look, sometimes when people talking about the Bible or a pastor who's giving a sermon, they can be giving a lot of their opinion and a whole lot less of the Bible. I read the Bible for myself, so it's like, yeah, I don't agree with that part of what you're saying. Or even myself, like I don't align my beliefs 100% with everything, because the Bible has contradictions. But I'm gonna step back right there because I don't want to get on a religious kind of conversation. The point is just being able to take in information from whoever you're receiving it from. If somebody's talking straight nonsense, but they say one good point, take that one good point and throw away all the other nonsense they was talking about. And like for me, another point is like, I don't have any kids. So there's an instant perception. If I say anything or give any advice about kids, it's like, bro, you don't got no kids. What make you think you know something? And I get it. I mean, hey, I fully get it. But that doesn't mean it's fully impossible for me to give good information. Like, so I can pay attention to your child or pay attention to something, and you ain't paying attention to it and you ain't peeping it. That's not to say you ain't a good parent of no shit like that. But it's to say like, oh, I didn't know this thing. Hey, run it, have a conversation. And this can help you have a better situation with your child. But if you're not like open to it, it can kind of easily be like an issue as soon as something is said. And now me, I ain't the type, I ain't gonna force my opinion on nobody. Like if I got a thought and you ain't willing to take it in, look, that's cool. That's whatever. But I have helped folks in the past, like giving like kind of different advice and shit. Even like I know having a conversation with some people, like, oh, you had this going on with your kid. No, that ain't gonna work with your kid. All right, for sure. Then I had some time spent with the kid, work with the kid on it. Oh, see a difference. Like, hey, look, I'm just saying, this shit I work. But at the same time, please take and understand, because I don't want nobody ever take no shit in a wild way. I do not have all the answers. I ain't got no kids. I know it's buku shit. I'd have to, if I had kids, I'm gonna have to learn and deal with it. Be like, oh yeah, and then you thought that shit was easy. You thought it was sweet. Oh shit, goddamn, these kids whooping my motherfucking ass. So trust. Though I know I have some advice that can help some people with some kids, I know it's some shit that dealing with these kids every day will whoop my motherfucking ass. Hence why I don't got them right now, because it's like, hey, baby, take your time with these little motherfuckers. But yeah, so that's about the child advice. I only got a couple more things I'm gonna hit y'all with before I run up out of here. Another part is like romantic wise, like as far as like, now again, remember our topic we talking about is the vessel of information. So make sure everything I'm saying to you taken in as the vessel and how you receive information from the person who's talking to you. And I know like some people, like if you got a past and you done dealt with people who done lied and cheated or whatever, and that's your experience with somebody in a relationship, you get your future partners can now deal with that being the case. Like anytime they try to talk to you about anything, it can be, oh, all right, well, you trying to talk to me about anything? I'm assuming you probably lying. Like, regardless if that person is showing you any of the same traits the other person had done or any other same kind of shit, if you get lied and cheated on by 3 people in a row, it's not irrational for that person to now you automatically assume that any spouse you talk to is lying and cheating to you. But making sure you identify when it's that person and when it's just that's what it's being perceived or what it seems like it is. Shit, what was I saying with that part? My bad. Yeah, so like just when you had that lack there of trust now within any partner you talk to, you might still have a goal of wanting to have a relationship, but if you got to be able to separate what that one person or those few people did between this now new person that you're dealing with and being able to receive information. Like this person can say something to me and I don't just have to assume they're lying because they're in the space of a spouse and spouses lie. You know what I mean? Like try to adjust the way that you receive the information from that new vessel that you're experiencing with now. And even on the case of like, when it comes to like relationship advice, like I know like for myself, I like had like somebody in my life, you know what I mean? At a point in time, I was in a nice little relationship, talking and chopping up with a little shawty for a minute. And I had this friend of mine who, they was married to their spouse. But I had been with the person I was with longer than that person. I had known, like, I had been rocking with them longer. Now, again, you have your beliefs about it. Me and that person was living in together because, damn, that if I get married to you, I want to know how it is living with you. So me and this person, we didn't live together longer. We didn't been together longer. But this same person, when it comes to like trying to get them advice, I was like trying to get some advice, and it was like, no, I really don't want to take advice from married people. And it's like, I get it, and I respect the covenants and things like that. But it's just like, at this point in time, like now, hey, I ain't finna force it on you. But you've now eliminated me being able to give you advice and helpful information just because of your perception of, oh, I can't give advice. Marriage definitely changes. Things are, and I respect what it is. I'm really trying not to say stuff that can rub across offensively. But yeah, so like marriage can change things, but at the root, it's a relationship. At the root of whatever it is a relationship. And if it's a relationship type thing, and I've been in a relationship, I can have insight to provide you to like, yeah, it might be something you're experiencing within a marriage, but the insight and information I can give you is based on just period, something in interacting with your spouse. And so like, if you think because if I was to get married to this person, like now I have way more insight. No, I had the insight that I had prior to it. We have new insights of day to day, but if we don't have no change, we just living together, I can still give you a bit of information. But that same person, I feel like now in life that person I'm speaking about is a bit more receptive to information, but definitely at that time they were like, yeah, nah, I ain't taking anything. But that's just like a case of, at that point, how they view me as a vessel, as a non-married person. I can't give advice to another married person. It's like, all right, cool. You can't force some shit. Another example for me, and I swear y'all, I'm wrapping this shit up. Credit. The person who introduced me and put me on like credit and like doing things to try to work on my credit is someone who's a convicted felon. You know what I mean? Crime and all that shit. Woo. But you can easily view it as like, oh, going into it like, oh, this ain't the person I'm gonna take information from. I'm not gonna learn anything. They ain't gonna know anything about credit. You ain't gonna be able to help me. But now, obviously, this is someone I know, relationships and different things like that. But I could easily be like, oh, well, this person is a felon or whatever. They ain't gonna be able to tell me about shit. They don't know shit. But shit, I was open to taking information from that person And that person helped me get money that I needed at the time using credit, like putting me on some information to help me move along in life. But if I had more of a closed mind, I wouldn't have had the opportunity, and I'd just been shit out of luck and trying to figure out like, oh, well, you don't meet the credentials of what I feel like somebody can help me in this space. Like shit, going into it, I didn't know that they knew shit about credit, to be honest. But it was just like, all right, well, shit, if you give information that sound like can help me, fuck it, I'm taking this shit in, you hear me? And on that note, we getting long, and I don't want to get too long on y'all, so I'm gonna wrap this shit up. So just know that, man, look, what I'm saying is don't run with, please take this note. Like, I want this to be very fucking clear. In no way am I saying anybody be goofy, just taking any information from any old person. No, don't move like a fucking goofy. But be open to listen to information from anybody. If you talking to somebody long enough, you can kind of like get a gauge of like, oh, they on bullshit. I ain't got time to listen to any more of this. Now it's possible like they might have started off on goofy bullshit and ended on some very powerful notes, and you might miss it. But I mean, shit, you ain't perfect. Nobody perfect. You ain't never gonna be perfect. My goal is not even to be a perfect person. It's to be as great as I can be. And with that, hey, you might miss a nugget of some information, but shit, sometimes you might also allow yourself to miss out on wasted time of yours. So just being able to parse through and decide on whether or not this is leaning toward being useful information, but be able to at least hear somebody out. And when you hear them out, make sure if you are going to spend your time to listen to somebody, listen with an open ear. Like if you going to spend your time listening to somebody, don't waste your time listening to somebody by not listening to them. That's something you can always decide. If you are going to listen to them, don't allow your time to be wasted. At that point in time, it's not even about them. It's about you. Make sure you being useful and resourceful with your own time. So don't try to be perfect. Focus on the information, not the vessel. That is the end of this motherfucking vent. I'm finna go ahead and get to better, not bitter. I ain't gonna run this motherfucker too long. Like I said, we've been talking about vessel of information and who you're receiving information from and how it affects how you receive it. Like I told y'all before, like just your different pasts and the different relationships that you have is gonna have an effect on the knowledge, and it's gonna have an effect on how you receive information from different people within life and how you grow and take in information. So whoever it may be, whatever it may be, just make sure you're trying to position yourself to be open to taking information. The goal is always to focus on the information over the vessel. It is important, like I told you, and it'll be a future topic talking about how information is delivered. But at this point, I want you to make sure doing the best that you can to focus on what someone's saying more than who that person is. Because I can deal with who you are as a person afterwards. But right now, if you're trying to provide me with information, if I'm trying to find value in it, I want to listen to what you're actually saying. So on that motherfucking note, this podcast is motherfucking late. So I'll get this motherfucker out. Nah, man, let me start running, man. Y'all already know, man. This the goddamn StoryHouse podcast, StoryHouse show. Look, my name Ayo. Please be sure, like, whatever Apple, Spotify, all them shits, man, leave 5-star reviews, leave your comments, reviews, and all that shit. Is all love. It do a long way as far as getting me out. Follow it, like it, and all those things. On YouTube, I want to say, like, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the reminder, ding, all that shit. Make sure you do all that shit. All that shit. And I mean, it's StoryHouse, StoryHouse_XO on YouTube. I don't know why the fuck YouTube wouldn't let me put the period, because everything else is StoryHouse.xo, like on Instagram, X, TikTok, all that shit. But YouTube didn't want to let the nigga put a period. What the fuck? Why y'all hating on the period? But man, like I said, ran this long enough. This shit is getting long. I am pushing toward getting toward a motherfucking hour, and I don't want to go over. I don't give a fuck if I go over an hour. I'm rambling. Let me get the fuck up out of here. Look, man, y'all already know you're in the StoryHouse show, man. Y'all family is love. We've been kicking it. We've been doing our little thing. We've been partying out. But that's the end of this motherfucking show. So that's the end of the road. You got to get your ass up out of this house until next week, until next time. If you binge watching and you watching this shit, run the motherfucking next episode immediately. But until then, man, it's all love. Be easy. We out.
I've been going through some things, so much on my brain, just hoping it would change.